I always do that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ladies' room. We got a really good show planned for you guys tonight. I am your host, Cannon Hill, always coming with the heat week after week. And let me go ahead and let my wonderful co hosts introduce themselves so we can start with Miss Jovo.
Hello, it's your resident mental health provider in the house. How y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Up this Darwin Hill, aka Triple OG. Thanks to Miss Jovo, I'm coming to bring the real and men's perspective on things. So let's get it
That's
cracking.
right.
Okay. Then last but not least, our Super Saiyan Supreme.
Hi guys, it's the one and only Super Supreme Saiyan wife. You already know the classes are $1,800. Please, please, please sign up. They're filling up so fast. All these wives need high value men, and I'm the one that's gonna get them
How are you guys tonight?
We good. We good.
Everybody had a good week?
Good tired week.
Good. Yeah.
A tired week?
Yeah.
Hey, Book of Genesis in the chat.
I can't even have my drink tonight because I might fall asleep.
I know.
You tired?
I was like, I'm on my Darwin, but a lighter version. I'm not doing this show and drinking brown liquor at the same time.
I might have to drink something though. I don't know. I might have to get turned up because I'm a little drained for real. I might have to pull me something though.
Because that's a hard-working man right there.
And going on these dates. I gotta brag, and I know Darwin's gonna say, but this is what I do. But Triple OG is always showing love to his children. I was jealous of the date footage. I was like, can I get in the back seat of the Caterpillar?
I know. I be staying jelly.
I know, right?
Whatever they think they got going on, whatever.
Shout out to all the dads that take their daughters on dates. I love it.
And she was excited too.
I know.
I have to pick out my outfit.
I love it. I love it.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into our first topic tonight, guys. This one came by way of our Super Saiyan Supreme wife. I'm going to go ahead and start off by pulling up the video that I think triggered it. And then, Raven, I will let you explain kind of what your thoughts were on it. And then we'll go around and give our thoughts. So let's start by, let me see. Is it a screen? Window. Yep. Let's do this. All right. And you guys see that? Yep. All right. And let me know if you guys can hear it when I started. Okay, it was working. Okay.
It's okay. I can run it down real quick.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell us.
Okay, so essentially the young woman was saying that she was speaking to an older relative and just talking about marriage and how they stayed together for 50 years. And she was, of course, being hyperbolic and trying to make it funny. But she asked them what the key was or what the secret was. And the girl was like, or the older woman said, you just never go to bed angry. And the young woman made a joke saying that, the reality is he cheated on you. You didn't do nothing about it. So I do think it kind of triggers something for me because a lot of times we forget about the laws that were prevalent or not even around during that time. And we just romanticize this past like it was a glorious thing. I've heard people saying, oh, we need to go back to the 60s where they were water hosing us. Well, come on, guys. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
In relation to marriages, I just think it's kind of insidious in a way because things like marital RAPE and beating your spouse, those things weren't even considered illegal. So to that point, you don't even know what the quality of marriage consisted of back then. So just because they stayed together 40 to 50 years, I don't know if that says enough.
Okay, so you're saying just by the nature of a marriage staying together doesn't necessarily mean
exactly, especially considering where that 50 years would have came from.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
maybe 50 years from today, that might be a little bit different for me. But back then, when you couldn't have a bank account without a husband, it kind of just seems like you're supposed to have somebody, you know?
Okay. All right, Miss Jovo. What say you?
Yes, we do romanticize about the past, and I'm a true Gemini, so I got two sides, and there is a side of me that I do understand on some level how those marriages ended up staying together. I think some people were actually married, happily married. I think some people actually found, their true soulmate, their best friend, and they decided that okay, certain things that might be a deal breaker for us in 2022, it's not a deal breaker for me. I want to stay married. I want to raise a family, whatever their goals were. Maybe their goals wasn't a lot of sex. Maybe their goals were just to raise. I don't know. It was definitely different back then. Like, and women were not like it. Well, it wasn't common for women to freely express what they wanted exclusively out of marriage. It was more so, oh, well, this is what you got to do to keep a man, and then this is what you need to do to keep the family together, woman, especially black woman, because I talk about all the 2 billion things that the world expect black women to be and do. So I, on some level, romanticizing about the past has benefited me. That actually not going to sleep angry, that benefited me sometimes. But I think it's how you take it and how you conceptualize it and your perception of using that advice in your own relationship. You know,
Okay.
because I'm coming up on one of them people that I've been married almost 20 years, and I hear it in my own voice, and I have to be mindful about how I give advice, but and then again, I have to be mindful about who I'm giving it to, because when I'm running into is a lot of people are asking questions about, well, how do you make it work? And you got two different type of people. You got people who generally they want to know how you make it work, and they're open to what you have to say. And then you got people who are trying to they're trying to read you. Are you really happily married in 2022, or are you just making all this stuff up? Is that your real Facebook name? Are these people in the pictures, are they real? That's kind of the what we have to deal with when you bring social media into it as well. Like, some people do generally ask, how do y'all make it work? And then there are people who, are y'all really making it work, and how are y'all doing it? And then they side eyeing you.
Yeah.
So, because there's some people who they just generally don't believe in marriage, which is cool,
Mm-hmm.
but they want you not to believe in marriage, but you married. Like, they want to push you to say, oh, you ain't happy, so that supports their theories on marriage.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Triple OG, what you got to say?
Say I went and got my drink.
Oh my gosh.
So, but no. So I look at two aspects of it. Like, I think the short term romanticization, if that's a word, romanticization. I think that could be good in a way, because if you're going to stay with the person and work it out, you might want to forget some of the bad shit that happened, right? If it's not happening anymore, and if that person has really changed, it might be in your best interest to just only think about the good stuff that happened back then, so you can keep the train rolling, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's too many times a person has changed and really want to do better, and that other person keeps dwelling on the past and the negative things, and they won't let it go. So I think it is good in that aspect for the short term relationships and stuff like that, if the person is truly making a change and correcting their behavior, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if they steady doing the same things, and you got that one person that's just only talking about the good things, that's very toxic, and that's like some type of mental illness going on when you steady getting harm done to you, but all you can think about is the one or two good things that this person done in the past, and this person is sitting here beating your ass and cheating on you, and y'all in debt, and you losing your house, and all you talking about is that carnival y'all went to in '89. And like, come on now, something's wrong with you, right? But I do think a lot of the older people, they romanticize it because they haven't really dealt with the world as it is today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of old people, they don't really get in tune with the Facebook stuff, the the technology part of it to understand like what's really going on out here. They not going to all these places. They not clubbing. They still stuck in their old ways. They still watching the news, read newspapers and stuff. So they
Uh,
really kind of stuck in a era and doing the things that they used to doing, which is so to Miss Jovo point, they probably was really happy back then because you can't be unhappy if you don't know what's really going on. Like they thought that was life back then. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So
So
that
it was
was
just
their
kind
life.
of normal to them. So
Right, but
okay.
if you like 100 years old, you lived in both of those times, right? And you saw the change, and you saw the progression that women have had, or Black people as a whole has had. So of course, um, I, hey, so of course you don't want to go back to those. I would hope they don't think that those are the good old days when you had the dogs getting sick on you and the water holes and stuff like that. You would think that they would be like, this is the better times. But you got to think about it, like they also had their first kiss. They also found their first love. They also
Hmm.
had did a lot of things that was first for them that gave them that joy. You know what I'm saying? No matter what the times was, they still found joy in those moments. So yeah, they go talk about it because at that time they were happy. They found happiness. They found the things that we find in today, like our first marriage, our first kid, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The first time your kid smiled and walked. They still had those moments back then. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
uh, and that weighs a lot for people. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but to think that those times were better, in general, is just crazy to me. I always hear people say it like, oh, back in the day, this was man, back in the day, you couldn't do half the stuff you was doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so let's stop it, like be real. I know you wanna, you know, uh um the older generations always want to knock the newer generations. You know what I'm saying? And I do it sometimes too. I talk about the newer generation, but hey,
Mhm.
you just have to stay in your lane. I think every generation should just stay in their lane and what's comfortable for them. You know, but to a certain extent, when you have something that went on like slavery and oppression and the civil rights stuff that was affecting a group of people the way it did, you cannot honestly sit up here and say that those times were better than now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Right.
you had some moments back in the day, whatever, but come on now.
But I think that to your point, I found some information that kind of explained how our memory works
Yeah.
and why we have a bias towards
Mhm.
remembering, the more positive things. It says, like, even the way that we reconstruct what happened in the past, it's only like little bits and pieces of the memory. It's not like we can remember like the entire thing. And it says that we don't consciously distort or embellish those memories, but it's like reconstructive, and then it includes a lot of biases. And it says that researchers have observed that memories associated with negative emotions fade more quickly than those associated with positive emotions, and this phenomena is known as fading affect bias, and it's a coping mechanism. It's because if we were always gonna be recalling negative memories from our past are like hurtful, it would make it like unbearable for us. So I think that there is something to be said about the fact that there is a literal bias
Absolutely.
that we have when we're remembering the past. So people do tend to talk about it in that way, where they're
Yes.
like, oh, back in the day, and they don't really necessarily remember the
Mhm.
entirety. Like nobody really wants to relive those things.
Right.
So hey, Venom the Tiger Dragon, what's up? And let me see. The book of Genesis says they want the family relationships, they don't want the rest of it. Yeah, that's that's true too. All
Yeah.
the rest of it that came along with those shenanigans.
Like responding to what Darwin was saying, like my grandmother's about to turn 90. Her mom lived to be 106. Listening to my big mama talk about the past, it's very rare that she would talk about things like racism and like, just direct, overt, like parts of her life where she remembers like what integration was like, or her memories involving like when Dr. King was assassinated. She remembers all of these things. She was born in 1900, so she, when the 20s came, she was an adult. 30s, 40s, and so on and so forth. A lot of her memories, to what Genesis is saying, is how she raised her kids, family memories, and memories from her church, which looking at what the research and all of the information that Cannon just showed us, and I've said it before on the show, Black people, we almost like the poster people for PTSD. So we're gonna practice almost every defense mechanism or every type of coping mechanism we can come up with to either avoid our trauma or not deal with it. Like my grandmother to this day, she does not watch these black and white films that depict like documentaries about segregation and racism, because when you ask her why, she's going to say, I lived it. Why do I want to watch this stuff again? You know, she will tell you that directly to your face. Like she does not recall a time like that. She recalls the togetherness, growing up with her brothers and sisters, going to church. It's almost like they block it out, but not really. They just choose not to talk about it. You
That
know,
makes
almost
sense.
like Vietnam War veterans. Like my father-in-law is one. I've been with my husband 20 something years. I ain't never heard my father-in-law talk about the war ever. And I
Yeah.
probably won't, you know,
Yeah.
because it's just like that was a part of my life. I'm not going to why rehash it? What's the purpose of it? And
Yeah.
that's how they look at it. So I think like the same openness we expect them to have for our way of life, sometimes we need to be open to the fact that it's just some stuff that they're not going to discuss and lead with in these conversations. They just
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think it's like a trauma bond? Because when you look
I
at the
do.
society, yeah, you look at the society that they had, it seems almost like that would be the only place they would find like genuine love and whatnot would be in the home. Versus now, people can find fulfillment outside of a romantic relationship. It's
Right.
not so much. I won't say it's not societal or it's systematic racism. That'll be unfair,
Mm-hmm.
but not to the extent that it was back then. So that's what I was saying as far as like the quality of the marriage back then versus now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that may have been normalized back then, like it was normal to just give your wife a quick slap in the face. Like her period's getting too riled up for you, slap her down. She'll be all right.
Yeah,
She'll take
what
it.
about
It was nothing.
but what about the people that's in our age and they romanticize in the times that they didn't even live in, right? So they only getting
Yeah.
those they only getting those get good stories from the older people, right? And,
Right.
and that's what I mean about like that older generation. I don't like saying this, but the, the the more they get away from us, the more in tune with reality we're gonna get, right? Because they hid a lot of stuff from even their own siblings and family members, right? They hid a lot of things. So now when they're hiding things that or they don't speak on it, they're giving
Mhm.
us this generation the idea that things were just so good back then, right? When it really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why
Mhm.
this our generation that says things like, "I wish I was born back in this day. I wish I was." Why would you want to be in that day? Like, is you
Right.
serious? Like, and that's because they hearing these stories like it like you said, like was it nothing going on back in the day? Like it wasn't civil rights. Black people just weren't getting shot up for no reason and eaten up by dogs and getting messed up for looking at a white woman. Like, it was crazy, and in the way even the way these older people romanticize like the family traditions and family values is so crazy because everybody I talk to, like you have to have a one-on-one conversation. Like it's never going to come out like in a family meeting or on Christmas. But if you have like a serious one-on-one conversation with somebody, you're gonna always find out these deep hidden secrets about the family. Like, and it's just not my family. It's a lot of families that I talk to people, and they be like, yeah, this was going on back in the day. Like our kids couldn't be around Uncle Woo Woo or this person because it's so crazy how they don't want to talk about these things and they really need to for the protection of the family. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like that PTSD is really something.
Well, that's trauma for you. Trauma will embody a person to a point where it's very difficult for them to have certain conversations about certain things, or they become a master of avoiding all of the thoughts and feelings that go along with that traumatic experience, especially if uncle or aunt such and such was that person to them, you know, and they and that all they know is what their mama told them and what their mama told them. And so it has to break somewhere. It
Yeah.
has to break somewhere. And so I think that there is a way to there's certain things about the old school that I do honor, but there are new traditions that I honor at the same time. I think we can both be beneficial to each other. We just got to be open to having, these conversations. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that that's fair. And the
Mhm.
book of Genesis says they want the income from today, the prices from way back when, and their idea of what marriage was back then. She said
Right.
they're kind of delusional. I
'Cause
mean,
my my
Exactly.
grandmother was never June Cleaver. Like she had the opportunity to be June Cleaver. I don't think June Cleaver picked cotton.
right. You
No.
know, I don't
I,
know if it was ever
Aunt
her
B from
thing with
Aunt B
June
from the Andy
Cleaver.
Griffith show, she ain't picked no cotton. I do not remember an episode that Florida Evans went down back to Mississippi and picked cotton. James Evans didn't either.
I
I don't.
Hey,
think
we
I
ain't
don't.
about to talk about Florida Evans because she one of the worst people. I don't like her.
anyway, let's not
Ooh,
even go
talking
down
about
that
her.
road.
Or
So if
it's crazy because it's almost like they romanticizing about something that, quite honestly, on some levels, don't even exist.
yeah,
Like when I think about all the older black women in my family, I don't think about them being home after the man get off of work and she doing all the domestic stuff and all he had to do was go out and provide. Like that ain't how it happened.
well, if you feel like you have anything that you want to add, I have put the link in the chat, so you can definitely hop in and add to that. But just to keep moving forward, do we have anything else we want to add on this topic before we move along to the next one? It's about to get juicier and juicier.
All I
So
got to
I
say
just
is
want. Oh,
Florida Evans is one of the worst mothers on TV
see,
besides
I knew I
Tasha
shouldn't
off
have let him talk.
Power. Her and Tasha off Power, I can't stand them. They're the worst parents ever.
Why is Florida Evans? Don't do that.
No,
right, don't
please
even
don't.
no,
Please
don't even
God, please
take him
God.
down that rabbit hole because
Please
we
Hey,
will
don't
be here
go.
all
hey,
I
night.
just want to say, I
you
think it's
all
a
know why
mix
Florida
of.
Evans is good. She kept
Wait,
them in
wait,
the hood so
please.
many times. Stop
Oh
playing.
my God, I'm not. It was a written
Hey, want them to
line.
get up out them
It
projects.
was. Anyway, I think it's a mixture of a little bit of people, older people not giving the full truth, and also younger people hearing what they want to hear. I was having a conversation with somebody recently. God, Lee Darwin. Now I can't stop thinking about Florida Evans. Thanks a lot. Damn.
That's all I think about.
Exactly. That's what's on my mind. Anyway, I was talking to somebody recently about childbirth and how they didn't hear any bad things about childbirth growing up, and I recounted as well that up until a certain age, childbirth was this beautiful thing, and oh, you just have a child, it's the best part of your life, and then as I got a little bit older, then that's when the truth started to come out that oh, you can have third degree tears, you can lose your teeth during pregnancy. Sorry, it's not third degree. What is it? My bad. Fourth degree.
Girl,
Sorry.
I don't know. It's
Oh,
bad.
apologies. But yeah, it's a lot of things that can happen to you during the act of pregnancy and childbirth that, are just kind of glossed over to put this image that it's not a bad thing. But also, I think after a certain age, we hear what we want to hear because there is no way you haven't had conversations with the older people, honest conversations after a certain age. And, even when talking about or talking to older men and hearing them say, "Oh, I just got out of work and watched TV," like for me, that would trigger like, so you weren't emotionally involved in your family building, just things like that. Like even if
Yeah,
they,
when it was time to whoop some ass, they were involved.
That's
huh?
fair.
When it was time to
Some
whoop some
ass.
ass, yeah.
It was time to
I know,
discipline.
right? Don't get me started on beating kids because I'm all against it.
Hey Raven,
Sorry, my
you
crew,
hey,
what?
you would have had your hands full back in them days, boy. Yeah. With all the
Anyway,
ass whoopers that they was passing out. Woo!
I know, right? I'd have lock everybody up. Don't beat the kids, please, y'all. Just don't. I feel like
They
I
would
have this
start.
argument all the time.
No,
People
you would have
swear
got
up and
felt.
down
You
you
would have got
gotta
missing.
beat them.
You would have got missing,
well,
Raven.
no, I don't think that you should beat the kids either.
I know.
But
Y'all made me cry.
Yeah, I don't. I never saw the purpose behind that. Like I told somebody the other day, and I said it on the show. These old people be bragging about how they beat kids into submission and how they children, oh, they knew better than to try me. But then in the same token, they still got in all this trouble. They still had all these, these issues. And it's just like, what did your beating really do?
Yeah.
It let off their frustration because that's all it do. I just
Exactly.
need to let off this frustration, and you the
Exactly.
smallest and most vulnerable right now.
Exactly.
So let me get this extension cord and discipline you. Don't get me started.
So, okay, well, I think that that's clear. We have decided that we definitely have a tendency to romanticize the past, but there is some usefulness to it. And it is a lot of nuance. And it is fair to say, that people don't necessarily talk about the bad stuff, which is another reason why social media a lot of times ends up looking like it does. But moving along to our next topic, which is about to be super interesting. I'm sure it's about to get very lit, okay? Because we came across this idea the other day that there is a way that you can help a man not cheat. So, what I'm going to do is I have a clip that I want to play. And then once I'm done with the clip, let's discuss what we heard there and see what we think about it. So let's see. Where is it? Here it is. All right. All right.
Never go into a marriage thinking that you have any excuse to withhold sex. I think that, if you have all of these excuses, there will always be a reason why you're not going to have sex with him. You need to understand, the nature of men. And if a lot of women don't like when I say this, but we can actually help them not cheat by make sure their balls are empty and they belly.
Where does this woman come from? Where does this woman come from?
Okay, so from what I heard there, you can help a man not cheat by making sure that his balls are empty and that his bellies are full. Who wants to kick it off? What do you guys think
I'm
about
gonna kick it off and I'm gonna end it because I got a lot to say about this retarded woman. Hey, I didn't hear her say a lot of crazy stuff, but this is one of them, right? And you can just tell the brainwashing that she has been throughout her life, because most of this stuff only comes from a man, right? That then told women stuff like, I ain't got time to cheat. Shit, you fucked me so good last night that I ain't got no energy. And they actually believe that, right? And now she's repeating this retarded stuff, drain their balls. What? Okay. Like what you mean? And you the only one that can refill it or something? Like what's she talking about? Drain their balls and then they won't cheat because their balls are drained? Like what?
And their bellies are full. Don't forget, she said
because they're gonna go get hungry again. You just 3 meals a fucking day. So if I eat breakfast right now, she's saying she got a timeline on when she gonna need to refill that belly too. And if he stayed out past lunch break, she going looking for this nigga to give him a lunch or something. Like it does not make sense to me why she would say this dumb stuff, and then I have to make sure my daughters and shit don't listen to her to this retarded crap, right? Because I don't want them to get brainwashed with stuff. Like women like that are so dangerous. They are more dangerous than a KKK member. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, the stuff that she is out here feeding us is ridiculous. I think it is a way to help men not cheat, but that's definitely not one of them. You know what I'm saying? I definitely think it's ways to help men not cheat, but those are not none of the ways to help them not cheat. If you want to help, if you want to help a man not cheat, everybody need to drop their pride and take a look at Jada Pinkett and Will Smith's relationship. And that's how you help a man not cheat. Set boundaries and step outside of your box and have a discussion with your man as to see what he likes and what he don't like. And if you can handle him having hall passes and stuff like that, and then, yeah, you can help him not cheat. But the fact that you think you can do everything sexually to make him not desire another woman is fucking retarded.
Well, tell us how you really feel. All right.
I'm gonna have to get out of my Super Supreme Saiyan wife bag for this, because obviously she has mastered the course, honey.
I want my $1,800 back right now. I want my $1,800 back.
She has mastered it.
First of all, you haven't completed the payments. That's why you haven't gotten to her level yet. You have to sit in that last payment, and then you can get to her level. In case you haven't, you don't maybe put all your business on there. So, so what I will say is she's obviously a super supreme Saiyan wife. To Darwin's point, you never have an opinion if a man hasn't given it to you. Okay, if a man has not given you that opinion, don't you dare utter it out your mouth, because that makes you masculine. Masculine women have opinions. Okay, I'm telling you, she passed the course. See that right there? That's what you need to do to get a high value man. Right there.
That's how you get one.
That's how you get him. Mm-hmm. He may not pay all the bills. Now let me go ahead and put that out there. Now, a high value man may not pay all the bills, but
he ain't gonna pay all the bills, and
you might not get all your bills paid, but. But I'm telling you, you will get a man, okay? And that's what you will get. That's what I can guarantee, a man.
Okay, Miss Jovo. Miss Jovo, what you got to say in response to that? Because it looks like all the men on the panel were like, hallelujah.
Wouldn't you shout hallelujah and shana if somebody was taking your biggest level of accountability, which is what you decide to do, away from you and saying, you know what? I ain't gonna get mad if you do that.
Because it's on me, because I haven't fulfilled something.
Exactly.
I heard a wise woman say, if a bunch of men agree with you, you definitely done said something wrong. If a bunch of men in the room agree with you, you done fucked up. Whatever you said, take it back in, reevaluate it, and try and figure out, why as a woman, a bunch of random ass niggas agree with you. Let's take that moment. Let's just dissect it together. Let's just take it apart and figure out why these niggas would agree with you. Like,
the level of codependency that people have in marriages is scary. And anybody who makes a statement like that is dangerously exhibiting patterns of codependency.
Yeah.
For real. And it kind of piggybacks on what we just talked about. Because you couldn't talk about codependency back in 1950 something, because women didn't have certain rights and they were socialized to do certain things, not knowing that, when I look back at it now, I was being socialized to be codependent on my man. And we didn't know that then.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense.
See, this is the thing. But see, now in 2022, now that Black people are learning the differences between survival and living, we got to do better.
Yeah.
That sister is all off base. She all off base.
I wonder what
all behavior is a choice. If this man chooses to cheat on you, he gonna cheat on you. That's just what it is.
Like, I wonder what she saw growing up, like in her household. Like, if she had a 2-parent household, and in the things that she said, did she see her mother? Did her mother exhibit these things? Like, because I would hate for my daughters to get old and get married, and they're doing the things that these women say to do, and I got to sit there and watch my daughter be miserable. I'm putting a stop to that. I'm going over there and I'm letting buddy know, like, I don't know who you been listening to, I don't know who raised you, but then I'm gonna talk to my daughter like, this ain't what we do. Get rid of him, or I'm gonna get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it's gonna be.
All this behavior is a choice, and what she literally just told these men on this panel is that when you cheat, it's not a conscious decision and choice that you're making. There was something that I lacked, or something I forgot to do, that gave you the green light and the authorization to go out there.
That justified it, right?
Yeah, and commit adultery and practice infidelity.
I mean, that's what type of conversations is she having with her girlfriends that who man cheat? Like, girl, did you drain the balls last night?
I told y'all she ain't got no friends. Now,
girl, shit, you forgot to make
she
lunch.
Got no friends.
So y'all know.
Hold
on, pause. If I don't have nothing else, y'all know I always come prepared. So I have another snippet which discusses 7 reasons why men cheat, and let's see if any of them are because their balls are too full or their bellies are too empty.
Yeah, they might be hungry.
What he has to say.
7 reasons. Before I give you any of them, let me tell you, it's not because of you. He didn't cheat because of you. He cheated because there was something broken are dysfunctional inside his own heart, his own life, and you happen to be married to him. And most of this starts off in adolescence and early adulthood. So I'll give you the first reason: sex addiction, masturbation, pornography, attaching to the object world, reinforcing a fantasy state. So they desire a object sex relationship, not intimacy and connection inside of the context of a marriage or committed relationship. Well, that wasn't your fault. You didn't even know that was going on. I can't tell you how many thousands of women, their husbands to an intensive, the guy cheated, and they didn't know that there was 25 years of masturbation and porn that led up to that thing. So that's one reason. Now, is he still responsible? Yes. Addiction doesn't make you not responsible. He's still responsible. Now, some guys cheat because they're hunters. They're looking for that low self-esteem girl who they can use and throw away as an object. Again, his object relationship is not the way you think in relationship, because you think, oh, he loves her or he wants to have her. No, he just wants to hunt, find a prey, throw her away, and not deal with it again. That's the hunter type. And that's not going to make a lot of sense to you as a woman, because most women don't think that way, especially married women who are in relationship. Another one is the hero guy. Well, he wants to just go be a hero for somebody and rescue somebody so he can feel good about himself, but he uses them sexually. That's another reason a man can cheat. The hurt, wounded guy. This is the guy who complains about his wife, how miserable he is, how he's suffering, and he draws the woman in to rescue him. And while she's being drawn in as his solution, he seduces her into sexuality. That's another reason. Now, all these are in my book, Addicted to Adultery. And it's a great book for you to touch anyone. They just have to be willing. So you won't find any kind of theme as to the people he cheats with. They might be friends of yours. It might be people at work, people at the coffee shop, someone who gives him energy. Then he kind of goes into it. But there's no theme other than willingness. And that won't make sense to you either, okay? Professional cheaters, these are people who only want to do prostitutes. And that's usually for the reason so they don't, call the wife and, get caught and it's a secret and, all that kind of stuff. But it's also object relationship. He doesn't have to love the person. He doesn't have to commit to that person. And I find a lot of guys who use prostitutes struggle with intimacy anorexia. They're not connected to you either. They're too busy for you. They blame you. They withhold love. And if you haven't heard that term, Google that or check out our YouTube on intimacy anorexia. Then there's the fetish. This is the person who has a particular fetish in their sexuality, usually created by pornography, fantasy, repetition, or early experiences. And they go outside the marriage to meet that fetish need, that kind of fetish scratch. They're still responsible, but that's also another reason. So I gave you 7 reasons.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I didn't hear any of that said that, it's because his balls weren't drained.
But guess what?
She's full of shit.
No. But that's classic. That's classic manosphere weaponry. Okay, because what do they always talk about when it comes to these quote unquote gender wars? Provision and sex. And what do you and what does balls relate to? Genitalia and sex. They only got 2 weapons of defense in this so-called battle that they think they in. Genitalia / sex and provision. Wow. Was in their pants. The wallet was in their pants. The wallet and the genitalia. Those are the only 2 arguments they got for everything. and she just proved that point.
That's all they got.
She must be messing with dudes with reptile dysfunction or something like that, because
What you just call it? What you just call it?
Not erect, just reptile. Not erect. It's a reptile.
I call
that
it
shit be coming out scaly.
Hey.
It be having scales on it.
Let me tell y'all.
Yeah. I call mine reptile. I got a motherfucking monster.
Let me tell you
reptile dysfunction.
One of the patterns of codependency is excessive preoccupation with the behavior of the other person. You got to be excessively preoccupied to make a statement on a social media platform that relates to draining somebody's balls in order for them not to cheat. That is irrational, and that is an obsessive preoccupation with what somebody else does.
Even back in the day when my balls was drained, I still was able to have sex again with another woman later on that day. Like, if I wasn't in the mood, it's gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? Your thing has a mind of its own when it's working right. And obviously, she messing with dudes who thing ain't working right. Because how you figure she draining balls now, it's not gonna work or something? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how men be so ignorant to the woman's anatomy, and we talk like we know the woman's body. She obviously don't know a man's body. For her to say some crazy stuff like that, it's not too many women that don't know the man's body. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of women that I've known, I've talked to, they know a man's body real well, right? And for her to say that dumb stuff, she just knocked that 100% down to 99.9, because she the first woman that was dumb enough to say this dumb stuff that I've heard of out of mouth. And very confident about the shit too, talking to other people like she really right.
But they cheered her on, and she said it's in man's nature. Which, to Eugene's point, I think it's funny because wasn't it just like last week where we talked about how men are not actually that sexually explorative? They just literally want to hunch. Like, that's it. Like, they're not trying to do no plugs, they're not trying to do no beads, not trying to do anything outside of hunch. That's it. If we can hunch upside down, that'd be cool. We can hunch in the water, that'd be cool. But other than hunch, that's it. So to Eugene's point, like, I'm so curious because a lot of times when they make these sacrifices, they're just going out to cheat and do missionary. They're not cheating and getting a BDSM. They're cheating in missionary. You're cheating in doggy style. What are these sacrifices that you are making? Unless you out here doing wild threesomes every weekend, explain to me what you're just giving up by getting into a committed relationship.
She said you're cheating a missionary. I'm done.
They are. Like, we talked about this recently. They're not that sexually explorative. Women have put things in every hole. Men do not. Men are literally only focused on, we just gonna hunch. We supposed to hunch. We supposed to just bust a nut and hunch. There is no exploration. Like, you can barely kiss a man on the neck before he feel like he getting gay. Like, it's too much. So no, it's just a shaming tactic. You guys are cheating in missionary. You're cheating in doggy style. You're not cheating in some kind of strange sexual fantasy you didn't get to go out with. Like,
I swear to God, her man dogging her out. I just know this for a fact. I bet he got all types of women going on over. Because you can tell. Ain't no man not cheating on a woman that dumb. All dumb women get cheated on. I'm trying to tell you. All dumb women get cheated on.
So okay. So I have
wait. I need Eugene to acknowledge what these certain acts are, because why can't your wife do these for you?
I want to acknowledge the part that we just brushing over. Mm-hmm. I need people in 2022 to understand that your behavior is exactly what it is. It is your choice, your behavior. Do you have things that influence you? Absolutely. But stop trying to control influences and learn how to control yourself.
Yeah.
That's very true. I
don't get it. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how many more therapy sessions I got to sit in to say this, how many platforms I got to sit in to say this. Like, people, what you do is exactly how I just said that. It's what you do. I don't care if you married to somebody who got, extreme family values and she covered from head to toe and she's perfect. If you decide to go cheat on this woman, it ain't got nothing to do with her. It's got more to do with you. You decided to do that. You made a conscious decision to go outside of your marriage and have sex with somebody else. That's what you did.
Every time these women say stuff like this, and I just, babe, don't be talking. And I look at you, I'm like, I could never get away with that shit. No matter how much I would want to, my wife ain't going for that shit. She's not about to be looking at herself for the reason why I cheated. And I don't want no woman like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be a better man. And if I got a woman that's not gonna hold me accountable, I'm just gonna be a fucked up man.
Thank you, Venom. What does that even mean? Oh,
right.
What? Sorry.
Like, my thing.
What does be feminine? They don't even know. Last time we asked somebody, they said it meant cooking and cleaning. I swear to God, I need y'all to figure it out. Okay.
They don't know themselves. Because they
I have one other video to play about why happy couples cheat, and then we'll discuss that. And y'all feeling the way about this, boy.
because I got daughters and I can't date. I got daughters.
Marriage was invented, and so too the taboo against it.
You gotta get some black
In
people.
fact, infidelity has a tenacity that marriage can only envy. So much so that this is the only commandment that is repeated twice in the Bible. Once for doing it, and once just for thinking about it. So how do we reconcile what is universally forbidden, yet universally practiced? How do we heal from an affair? Desire runs deep, betrayal runs deep, but it can be healed. And some affairs are death knells for relationships that were already dying on the vine. But others will jolt us into new possibilities. The fact is, the majority of couples who have experienced affairs stay together. But some of them will merely survive, and others will actually be able to turn a crisis into an opportunity. They'll be able to turn this into a generative experience. And I'm actually thinking even more so for the deceived partner, who will often say, you think I didn't want more, but I'm not the one who did it. But now that the affair is exposed, they too get to claim more, and they no longer have to uphold the status quo that may not have been working for them that well either. I've noticed that a lot of...
Okay. So what do you guys think about that? She said, that even for the wronged partner, it can open up, worlds where they're like, hey, this is the new rules. So
I mean, you got to be careful what you bring up in your house. I tell people this all the time. People, places, and things. Now, I'm old school like that. Like, if you get an invite to come to the Mosley residence, I must really, really love and like you. Because I can't even count all. I can count on just both of my hands all of the friends outside of some family that have actually walked through the threshold of my house. Okay. And I believe in people bringing energy and stuff into. So when couples come in here with their whole, we share each other with other people and all this other stuff, it gets no play around here because them ain't the rules we playing by, baby. Hey, whatever worked for you over there at your residence, great. Like once I peep that out, like what like say we double date, and I peep that out with this couple that's what y'all do. I don't know what your husband telling my husband, and my husband over there side-eyeing me because he don't know what you telling me. So it's like I got to be. That's why having a regulated mind is so important, because we know our rules, we know what we stand for, we know what we're not going to do, and then if something new come into play, we gonna talk about it. Like, oh hey, what's up with this is what we doing on social media now, or this is what we doing in public, or this. I mean, that's what we do. Like, she's absolutely correct. And that's why these men keep talking about feminine, and we want more feminine women, because the more they get on these platforms and talk, the girls on there with them and themselves, they telling on themselves. That's what they doing. Because baby, what is it? You forgot to drain the left or right ball? So now you talking through experience? Let me tell y'all. Because my thing is, if your husband cheated and you're trying to get through it, just say that.
Yeah.
If your wife cheated, and now if you cheated on your wife, and now your wife done decided to cheat back to get back at you, but also explore other options, just say that. Don't be getting on these platforms talking about femininity and masculinity. Just share your truth.
So what can a man drain on a woman to make them not cheat? What tank is we draining? You know what I'm saying?
No, this is exactly what I was gonna say. I have this screenshot from one of my favorite groups that has the most interesting topics in there all the time, where people sometimes anonymously post things. So I came across this one, and it says, "Happy hump day, everyone. Well, unfortunately, I'm a newlywed and not humping. Prior to getting married, the excuse for not having regular sex was a desire to not have premarital sex. Now that we're married, I still have to almost beg for sex when this is my husband. I found evidence of masturbation, so I know he has a desire, maybe just not a desire for me. When I bring this issue up, he brings up me not cooking. He knew I didn't enjoy cooking before asking me to marry him. So interesting.
She needs to take my class, okay? If he's cheating because he's hungry.
But the thing is that I see a lot of posts. It may not necessarily say that exact thing, but it is women that are expressing frustration about not getting sex or enjoyable sex from their partners. But for some reason in the comment section, I never see all of these, things of why this will be an excuse for now she has to go cheat or she should cheat now. There's all these things. Talk to him, be patient, see what's going on. All these, none of it is, oh, well, he's not pleasing you, then go on ahead. If he's not giving it up. So I'm just curious about the double standard. What do you think? About women's satisfaction in the marriage?
We can't be women kings, we can't be mermaids, but damn it, we got to be held accountable for everything. You didn't know? You didn't know?
Well, she can't do
memo, didn't you?
Well, she can't do that because she had 2 strikes against her. She not cooking and then she cheating. He just masturbating. I mean, so what?
No,
he just masturbating. He cannot be not cooking and then cheating too. That's not adding up.
But she's not getting sexually satisfied
because
so
she's
now
not
she don't
cooking.
feel like going to go cook. You
because
saw what
she's not cooking.
He said, "Now go in the kitchen and make me some tacos." Okay, that's how you get the tacos made.
If she would have said, "I've started taking cooking class and I've been cooking lately, and he's still not giving me sex," then boom. But if she
ain't nobody tell me they not giving me none because I ain't cooking.
Thank you, Kenneth. Because
that's his reason, and she's acknowledging that's his reason.
Darwin,
he's lying.
Darwin, don't get up here. Don't get up here sounding like your enemy now. The same girl.
No. I'm just saying
if
she's acknowledging. If she's acknowledging that's the reason that he's masturbating because she's not cooking, then maybe she should try.
She said the first reason was premarital sex.
He's not fucking another woman. It's a big difference.
He said at first they weren't doing it because
sex.
He said he didn't want to do it because they weren't married. And so now that they're married, she's saying that he's giving her another reason for why he doesn't want to do it.
I get that, but I'm just saying for her. If she's acknowledging those as reasons, that's I mean, of course.
No, she didn't acknowledge it as reasons because she said when he married me, he knew I ain't like cooking. So why is that a problem all of a sudden?
She's still with him? Because I think she acknowledging it. Has she cheated yet? Okay, then. She going with it.
No, my question
exactly what you just said, and I'm going to answer it. What did you just say? You said she said what? That he knew this from when? Jump Street, right?
Before they got married.
Right. So why?
I don't think he just masturbated. You ask me.
No. Why is this all of a sudden a problem? I'm gonna tell you why it's all of a sudden a problem. Because goddamn TikTok, excuse my language, Instagram and Facebook, and all these pictures on social media, and listening to all these different people fall in love with proposals and weddings, and think that people are sprinkling magic fairy dust over them when they get married, thinking that this person's going to turn into a wife and this person's going to turn into a husband. And I've told y'all this before. I had to learn how to be somebody's wife. That's it.
Yeah.
And this is what
his one night stand and married her. He married his one night stand. And she ain't getting none.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And see, that's the problem, because ain't nobody want to talk. Everybody want the gorgeous proposal and the beautiful wedding, but don't nobody want to talk about the fact that, oh, by the way, I look bomb in this dress, but baby, I don't cook. Nobody want to say who.
But I think I'm assuming, because she said that he was aware of that, I'm going to assume that she did. I'm going to assume that he probably does have like a masturbation addiction, because if he told her beforehand, we can't have intercourse because I want to save myself for marriage, then all of a sudden, after I told you I don't cook and we've been dating, I ain't been cooking the whole time we've been dating, now me not cooking can't be that much of a hindrance because I've already not been cooking. I think it's funny though because
not getting no sex. That's her.
I think it's funny because in the last video it was, it's men's nature and they just super hypersexual. You just gotta drain their balls all the time. And just like Eugene, 2 comments ago, he was saying that men are not sexually satisfied when they get in committed relationships. And now he is saying she was trying to sexually satisfy him too much. I
Too
think,
much.
well, as you see right here, in the past relationship, she was trying to have 6 million times a day. I didn't feel like it. Yes, but not so many times a day. To the point, like I said earlier, men are not just these hypersexual beings that just gotta have it all the time, and women can't keep up. That's not the truth. As you can see,
Because we can masturbate
he
and burst in
just
30
told the
seconds and we
truth.
good.
I mean,
Y'all need that.
it's
Yeah,
just
but
your
the
constant
point,
manipulation.
but to Raven's point, there is always this
Yeah.
conversation where it's like men are seen as these insatiable creatures who just can't control their sexual drive, but it's never really discussed how a lot of times women are not satisfied as well, and when women aren't being satisfied, the answer, it's never like, oh, women are just these sexual beings, you have to make sure that they're satisfied because otherwise they'll go elsewhere if they aren't getting it.
It ain't that
It's never
conversation.
like that, and
I think
it's
And
pretty
never
even
much,
in
really
this
I think
addressed.
comment,
pretty much.
in the comment he posted, he's not even like giving any self-reflection. It's not like, oh, so that's why I hit the gym and I start really knocking them boots out every week. It's just, oh, I wasn't into that. Like there was no type of accommodation. But if it was a woman, immediately, oh, you really need to be trying to meet his sex drive. You need to be trying to do it all the time. If he want to do it all the time, you need to keep up. That's not the case. When women want to do it all the time,
So
I'm
can we
just not gonna
all
be with this
agree?
girl.
So we all agree that cheating is more of a mental thing, right? Unless you have like some type of sex
E-
addiction,
Every behavior is mental. That's what I'm trying to
That's what I was
say.
gonna say.
When
Everything
you
is
have
mental.
when you have certain thoughts, certain core beliefs and values as it pertains to sex or any other behavior, then whatever you think, whatever those core values are, and your emotions at the time, that's what's gonna drive your
right.
behavior.
So
That's
to my,
it.
so back to the post, to the
Yeah.
original the clip that we watched. To think that you can drain a man's balls is the reason he won't cheat. Like it's mental why people do the things they do. So it's not a physical thing like, oh, he has to have sex with somebody else or something's going to happen to him or anything like that. No. He wants to cheat because he's desiring another woman or some type of power, or like he's a hunter. He wants to rule over women or whatever the case may be that's going on in his mind that makes him feel better when he has all these women, like most men do, because that's how we were raised. That's how we were socialized to. The more women we have, the more women we have sex with, that makes us more of a man. And I think a lot of men are still in that mode. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, it had nothing to do with how well you please a man in bed, how well you suck him up, how well you drain his balls. It has nothing to do with that at all, because you can get that, and he's still going to go out and do the same thing. Now you're wondering
Exactly.
like, what did I do? No, you cannot keep trying to put the blame on yourself, because you're going to go crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like this woman. First it was, the premarital stuff. Now it's the cooking. The next excuse is going to be like, oh, you gained some weight. And, it's just going to keep going on and on and on, until the fact that she's just beating herself down, and now she's left with nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just,
Let me tell you something. When somebody chooses to be dishonest to you, that's exactly what they choosing to do. To be dishonest, it ain't got nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. At best, all we can do is behave according to the duties that we vow to keep as a wife, as a husband, and you communicate with each other as those duties change and evolve. That's all we can do. When you stop talking to each other about what it is that you desire from me and vice versa, then that's when the problems start. you know. And the other thing is, I mean, and I'm thinking about doing it myself as well. Like, I have a friend and a soror who she decided to log off, basically not get on social media for like 6 months to a year. She's not engaging in media stuff. And the thing about it is, now that she's not doing that, she's actually happily dating a person, and she's doing it based on her own standards. And I say that to use that as an example, that I think sometimes people have these perceptions and these concepts of what relationships are supposed to look like, but they're getting their ideas from an image. Okay. They getting their ideas from an image. They see these pictures of these happy families, but like stuff like this comes up. We got all these kids and we married, but oh, she don't cook, and it's starting to aggravate me. But it's like, bro, she ain't cooked the meal since date 2. So I don't understand why it's aggravating you. Like, you knew what you were dealing with. So instead of you saying you need to train up and be a better wife, why don't you sign up for y'all to go take a cooking class together and turn it into a date?
Right.
You know, and I think it's kind of like what the lady in the video was saying. A lot of times we try to fit into these status quos, and then when somebody cheats, all of a sudden I pick your face up off the floor and figure out how was I doing everything I was supposed to do and still getting cheated on. And to the lady in the video's point, a lot of times, it does blow the lid off of it. To what Eugene was saying, certain acts you can't do with your committed spouse. Why can't you? Like, if you like to get your rim jobbed, why can't you tell your wife, job my rim? Hey, don't yuck anybody's yum. Some people are into that. Not over here. But I mean, I can't. When he said certain acts, I honestly couldn't think of what acts you could do with a random girl that you couldn't do with your wife. That was the only one I could come up with. Like, maybe trying to get rammed, and I don't.
Well, I heard from a male friend of mine that it's because some men have in their mind like they don't want, like they want to, what do you call, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they want to. Sometimes their sexual fantasy is to like devalue or like
and that might be your wife's sexual fantasy, which is what I was saying about the status quo.
He was saying that if they can't merge the two because they want to look at their wife one way, but then they want to smut out another woman that they can look at as like.
And see, that's what Eugene was saying. You've already assumed that you can't.
Well, he buried the wrong person.
Exactly. Marry a woman that wants you to spit in her face. Like, no, I mean, it's not that hard.
He was saying for his mental, right? He was saying like some men for their mental, they have women that they are okay with.
They want to live 2 lives.
But they don't want to look at their wife as being degraded.
So he want to live 2. He wants to have 2 lives.
Yeah, he wants to go to therapy.
He want to have a wife so he can do all that stuff, and then he want to have a woman he can spit on.
Right.
You know what I want to do?
She could be the same person. That's all
what I want to do.
But he's saying that it messes up like the pedestal, whatever that they have for
basically their wife. He's got some bipolar issues going on because it can happen. He bipolar.
It's not bipolar disorder.
It sounds like the Madonna whore complex. Like, I love you so much.
He want to spit on one, and then he want to walk down the street with the other one and make sure she don't get hit by cars and robbed and stuff. And then,
And that's why I said go to therapy, because that woman can be the same woman.
And
you can honestly cherish that woman to where you don't want to see her get hit by a car and still spit in her face. Like, it's not
Look at the comment. This is what I've been saying all along. As long as their core values and beliefs continue to see women as anything else other than people, they're gonna continue to behave in certain ways. That's why I said you better talk to the people that you decided like that you want to marry. You better talk to them and see how they see you.
Because if you bipolar, you better get you a bipolar wife like I got.
What? I object.
It is not about being bipolar. Everybody got their own kinks.
She this one, and then she the slut. I tell her to bring the slut out, and she brings the slut out, and I get to do my slut stuff.
And then it's the other thing, and it kind of goes along with what Raven is saying. People are too afraid to speak up on what they want out of a relationship. Speak up. Stop thinking that this man gonna guess what you want. Just because
that's what the video kind of said. She was saying that once the infidelity occurs, then I guess it like
it blows the lid off of
it. Yeah, it's like it makes a conversation have to happen where it's like, the pretense is lifted. So it's like it's no longer trying to uphold this certain ideal, and now you can have like an honest conversation.
Right.
And I think I think we are also forgetting the other side of it, where you have men who do the emotional cheating. So maybe you are draining his balls all the time, but you don't listen to, I don't know, his ideas or something. I don't know. When men go sit with a stripper and talk to them for 30 minutes, like she cares about what he's saying. There are guys out there that are just embarrassing their wives sitting here chit-chatting with strippers. Why would you do that? Sorry. Side note. But there are men out here who are also looking for that emotional connection. So it's not even always about draining his balls or keeping him hungry. Sometimes you just got to be his friend.
Yeah, one of the things that I think, I mean, I do think that it gets overused these days, but we do also undervalue, I think, a lot of narcissistic traits that people have. Hey,
We
peace,
do.
love. Thank you for joining us. But not like, everybody want to be calling everybody a narcissist, but not
Exactly.
actually diagnosing someone with being a narcissist. But people do have a lot of narcissistic qualities,
They
right?
do.
And one of them is purposefully um withholding intimacy from their partner as a form of
Yes.
control. And
Yes.
so they will go to the stripper and be, more transparent, because there's no power, that there's no vulnerability there, no power dynamic, but they hold power in their relationship by keeping their partner wanting to get that validation that they refuse to give on purpose. It's like a power thing where it's like, okay, I'm not gonna give this intimacy to my significant other and have these transparent and vulnerable conversations with them.
So back to
I'm not.
Ray's point, these dudes be wanting to get boned in the butt. They go let a stripper go bone them in the butt. They don't let their wife bone them in the butt.
Please, it's called pegging, guys.
Yeah,
It's
whatever.
called
I
pegging.
don't know the words.
Y'all gotta get in on y'all sex
Who
talk, man.
is doing this
I
to their wife?
cannot.
Like,
I
who is
cannot.
doing this stuff to
Candy,
their
you
wife?
make a
That
great point
who
though
ain't slutting their
about
wife out? It's retarded.
Well,
Candy
Well,
peace,
sometimes
peace,
the men want to be
peace,
slutted
love. Hold on a
out. That's
second.
why
Hold on a
they go
second, y'all.
dominatrix.
Peace, love, and Book of Genesis. If you guys want to come up, if you got a moment, you're more than welcome to. If you wanted to chime in on this topic, but the
Who would go slut out a stripper instead of their wife? They fucking disgusting. They nasty. You don't know what these strippers have been doing, but oh my god.
Time out. We're not going to shame strippers or sex workers
Oh,
because
nobody shame them, but they nastier than my wife.
But
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not taking chances doing stuff that I would do with my wife with them. I tell you that much.
That's fair.
It's almost like what I have to tell people that come into my office that have been abused, that guess what? This ain't your fault. This didn't happen to you because of something that you were or were not. This didn't happen to you. It's not your fault. It's the same thing when somebody cheats on you. You start internalizing all this guilt and shame, and it's just like, boo-boo, sir, madam. That's on them. That's something that they consciously decided to do. And now that the big secret is out, what y'all gonna do about it? Is this, if this a deal breaker for you? Okay, it is what it is. But if it's not, what are y'all gonna do about it? Now the cat, that the cat is out the bag. She cheated or he cheated or whatever. What are y'all gonna do about it?
Yep.
Okay, because what I can tell you is having this conversation, telling her that she need to be draining him every night. That ain't gonna change nothing. Because infidelity really got it. It's a mind thing. It's a mind thing. They got to learn how to make better choices. And see, this the other part too when we talk about duty and you honoring the role that you signed up for. You know, if you can't stay within the bounds and guidelines of what you signed up for, then that has more to say about your behavior and less to say about your partner.
No, that's absolutely true. Everything that I was able to, I mean, I knew this already, but everything that I was able to find essentially validated that, because at the end of the day, like you said, it is a choice. Like, even if my point is, even if you're having all these issues in your relationship, and I do understand how people have different coping mechanisms, and people have different attachment injuries that they grew up with, and ways that they address stressors and things like that. But that's still your thing. That's not the other person's thing.
Exactly.
Like, you're still making a conscious choice to do something. You can't blame someone else for a behavior that you're choosing. Whether you're doing it as a result or not, it's still you, eyes wide open, choosing to do it, right? So it's like, it's crazy. It's like you are literally choosing to, oh, now I'm gonna lie, now I'm gonna be deceitful, now, like, you're choosing to do it. Like,
but see, that's why she reduced it to man's nature, because if their nature, they can't stop it. I thought that was interesting, because when it comes to provision and protection, all of a sudden men can control their nature. They can control protecting women. They can control providing for the entire family. All of a sudden, those are things that we can't control. When it comes to sexuality, I can't control my wee wee.
But
well, I can't do that.
that's very interesting that you said that. They
I mean,
say
it's
that
their
all the time.
nature.
They say it's in a man's nature to
Yes.
provide and protect.
And yet they don't pay all the bills. Like they'll have you out here panhandling for hand-me-downs, and you out here talking about how you need to drain their balls because it's their nature. But it's also in the nature to provide, and they won't do that. I'll assure you that they'll stop that nature in a fucking heartbeat to let you know they can't pay child support.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
that
honest here.
child support is kicking they behind.
Exactly,
I
but
see
it's
the
in their
post every other
nature. Like,
day.
let's stop lying to ourselves here.
I be like, oh my God, are y'all this? Like, I would think that fired up as y'all are about this child support, that y'all would be celibate the way y'all be acting. I just be like, if I would be that upset about
they can't be celibate, it's their nature to be promiscuous.
So they can't be celibate. They have to be out here, impregnating all these people and then being mad because they getting put on child support.
Man, these niggas is dumb.
But okay, so no, that's a very good one. That leads me to that leads me kind of into our next topic about blame, right? And who we decide to blame for certain things. So our next question is, are Black women a Trojan horse in the Black community? Now, for those of you who may not be 100% sure about the story of Troy, right? It was basically that the Trojan horse was gifted to a society, but it was actually full of soldiers from an opposing force who, when they brought it into their gates, they were able to secretly come out in the middle of the night and basically rampage the whole city since they were able to infiltrate in that way in the Trojan horse. Now, I saw someone say that Black women are sort of a Trojan horse in the Black community, and I said, what? But I don't want I'm gonna go ahead and share the post that I saw, and I'll read it to you guys. It's not necessarily so much about the poster, but just more about what I saw. So it has a picture of this district attorney. And if you don't know who she is in Atlanta, and she is currently prosecuting the Young Slime Gang, YSL, with the Young Thug and all of those or whatever. And a lot of people feel a kind of a way because they feel like it's using rap lyrics and this, that, and the other. But the post says, this is what the devil working looks like in human form. We spoke earlier last week on how women are chaotic by nature and how man must come in with order and direct the feminine energy to work for him. Unfortunately, this science is something that white society has mastered, and their men know how to move in on Black women to push their own agendas against us. There is a reason why they do not try to penetrate us through our men. There is a reason why every time we are being taken down through the system, it's a Black woman holding the torch. That's what I had seen.
I'm ready. I'm ready. This lady who has worked for Department of Corrections off and on for at least adults and juvenile defenders for at least a total of 7 years. I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead. What are your
I'm
thoughts?
ready.
What are your thoughts on that?
The Black women are not why prisons are overfilled. Okay, behaviors from Black men are reasons why prisons are overfilled. Just one of the reasons. If we're gonna talk about behavior, okay. Number two, the reason why a lot of Black people are going to jail, and I keep saying this, and I said it this week. Those of y'all who follow me on Facebook, you see the situation that's happening in my own hometown, in my own high school. When we learn to get out and vote for officials that look like us and that are for community and not for self, apparently the DA in Fulton County, she for community. Because for years, street gangs in Atlanta have been ripping and running. Atlanta, Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, Macon, Georgia. These are all places that I just listed that gang violence is out of control. And now you have a gang leader, a DA, who is really holding all these gang leaders accountable and saying, basically, we tired. And you all have hid behind the community members for so long that now we got something that we've decided that we're going to use as evidence against you all in cases where loved ones have lost loved ones have lost their loved ones to violence and drugs and the street. And so she's actually doing what a lot of Black men and Black women have complained that a lot of elected officials have not done for years. She's actually using the laws to her advantage to clean up the street. In some cases, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm sorry.
Like, that's what they want. They want their cake and eat it too, huh?
That's it. I mean, I'm sorry. You can't. You can't. Like,
mic drop with that one.
Like, if me and this goes back to the show that and me and Ashley, I think we had a side conversation about this, and in another group, I said this. I said, show me a post or a discussion where Black men can talk about Black male leadership without bringing Black women into it. I would love to see it, because if I'm asking you, if I'm telling you we need y'all as leaders, how can y'all be leaders? And you lead with y'all need to be more feminine. That just further lets me know you do not have a plan, a purpose, nor objectives related to leadership. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And now this Black female DA has actually executed a plan to say, you know what? This is what we gonna do to get them. And now that she getting them, oh, now it's a problem because they Black men. Why wasn't a problem when they were running around here, YSL or whatever, and they were killing folks? Why wasn't it a problem during, Christmas time where I won't even go up to Buckhead? I don't want to get robbed. I don't want to go shopping at night. I don't want to get robbed. Why wasn't it a problem then? But now that she prosecuting the folks and y'all finding out these people look like y'all, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Why can't the problem be a problem?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. What say you, Darwin?
The thing is, if we policed our own communities, we wouldn't have to worry about the DA doing it. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's a lot of Black people in general that don't really do what they supposed to do, and then complain when somebody else step up and do. Like, they complaining about her, but if they would have been did what they were supposed to do as far as identifying the problem when it was happening back then, and identifying the problem and drop that no snitching code, because I'd be damned if I'm gonna sit there and let a known drug dealer, a known killer sit in my neighborhood and drive-bys going around shooting up my kids, and I'm not gonna say nothing. And if I don't say nothing to the police, I'm gonna gather the men that I know, and we go check him or do whatever we got to him at least. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying everything has to be, police, but if you police your own community, some things can get rectified without all of this happening. Now they are desperate, and now they have to start using rap music and things of that nature to capture these people. And I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? We as people ain't do it. We ain't
I don't even think it's desperation. I think it's stupidity on their part for rapping about it.
That whole part you just said. Like, I'm so sick and tired of our community trying to hide gang members behind it because we want to say, well, we need our Black men. Tell your Black men to stop getting on albums rapping about killing folks. Tell them
what I say is desperate because I think that they could have been did this a long time ago. When
they
were rap music, but they did it. So I think they got to a point where enough is enough, and they at a point where they cannot no longer tolerate these things, because I do think more people are stepping up and saying things about what's going on in the community. So now it's put more pressure on them to do something, and they can't do it. And people are still scared to snitch. You know what I'm saying? They still complain about the thing, but they still scared to snitch. So it's like, how can we capture these people? How can we get these people? How can we get this evidence against these people? So I think they was like, okay, something that we didn't want to do in the past, we have to do now. We have to start looking into this rap music and seeing if it really is some truth to this. And unfortunately, they have found out that it is some truth to it. These dudes are actually doing the shit. So people complaining about this, but these niggas is actually doing the shit.
Yeah, right? The thing is, in 2022, it's crazy to me because people in this social media age, especially in Atlanta with the way the music scene is, and it is so thoroughly integrated in actual crime, People snitch on themselves. Like the police and the FBI and all them have been monitoring social media. They stay on social media looking for people snitching on themselves. And rap lyrics have been used in the past in prosecutions of people because people commit crimes and then rap about it. That's what they do. It's not like somebody hearing the rap. Like it's like they try to make it seem like somebody heard the rap and then went backwards to try to find the crime that they rapped about. No, these crimes are committed. You got cases, you got stuff, and then you're going to rap about it. And it's like right there for them to just grab it and see it. But they do feel inoculated because they feel like they could just be like, oh, this is just art. But yeah, but if the words that you're saying are adding up with this crime, then yeah, they're gonna use it. You told on yourself. You're snitching.
Exactly.
And then my second part of the post,
go ahead, babe.
How they say that the white man penetrates the woman and they don't try to penetrate the black man. And I'm looking at that and I can't help but to think like, how come the black man isn't penetrated? Maybe because the black man is not there and he's off to the side watching the black woman get penetrated by the white man, right? Because that's the only way that can happen. Like why is if that's your way of thinking about it and that's your idea of it, that the white man is coming for the black woman, where are our black men to stop this from happening, right? So it's still the lack of black men not doing what they supposed to do so that their communities won't be getting infiltrated. If you were there to protect your black woman, she won't even be vulnerable to what you saying she's subjected to, right? So it still falls on the black man, especially when we say we're leaders. Now, if you don't call yourself a leader, you don't call yourself the protector and provider and the man and the household, then this doesn't apply to you. But for the men that say they're the leaders of their community and their household, they're the protector of their family, you cannot sit up here and say, oh, the white man got me through my wife. He found the vulnerable spot in my house that I was supposed to be protected. Like, nah, like it's not making sense to me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to stop putting the blame on the black woman all the time when something happens, because we are the men. You know, I just can never blame a woman about some stuff that's happening to my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if my family is starving and we got food in the house and someone just didn't cook it. Hey, it's still my responsibility. I'm the man. I should have got shit in order. Cook. If I'm not there, I'm supposed to have a way to not. I don't like the word say make my wife cook, but I'm supposed to have a way to gauge that into a way that she's going to want to cook for the family, whatever the case may be. But
be the change you want to see.
Exactly. I'm going to ignite what I want in my house. You know what I'm saying? I'm not you can't sit back and don't do nothing and then complain all the goddamn time. And that's what I'm seeing black men do. Like, they sit back, they don't do shit, and then they complain. Like, damn, we gotta stop doing that.
Yeah.
And then for
and I think it goes
and say that the white man is penetrating us. We got a dude that come up on this show every other week named Black Trump. His name is literally Black Trump.
Trust me, Miss
Who being penetrated now? Who being penetrated?
We gonna dissect that in a minute. Let me hear what I'm saying. We gonna dissect it a little bit more.
I think it goes back to what we were just talking about with the infantilizing of black men and just saying, you know, oh, well, they can't stop themselves from cheating. They obviously can't push themselves forward in the system. They can't stop themselves from shooting one another. It's just in their nature to be violent. Everybody knows these men are warriors and they're just warring against themselves. It's just the infantilism for me, because, again, nobody's expecting these men to just stop. Like I say all the time, black men have to care about black men more than anybody else, more than the DA, more than the white man, more than the white woman, more than the black men have to care about black men. And I think what's happening now is that black men are expecting everybody else to handle these black men. YSL is almost exclusively black. So if they've been terrorizing the community, not even just one little area, but a numerous amount of areas, same thing with BMF. If y'all been watching them do this, y'all have to care more for black men. You have to want more for your brother than black women can want for y'all, than white men can want for y'all, than white women can want for y'all. Y'all have to care about yourselves more than we can care. And if y'all don't, then the same thing is going to continue to happen. Of course, black women are going to be seen as the bad guy because we're trying to clean up the community. If locking y'all up for actually killing members is the bad thing, then sign me up. I'll be the big bad guy every single day. But I mean, because black men are taught, not to show any type of emotional connection for the most part. They openly just don't care about each other or anything else for that.
Well, I thought that it was interesting, and to break it down a little bit more is just the way that it was discussed. And one of the points that I saw is that when it says, we spoke earlier last week on how women are chaotic by nature and how man must come in with order and direct the feminine energy to work for him. Then it goes on to say that that is science and it's something that the white man has mastered. So I guess if you believe that, right? I mean, I don't believe that women are chaotic by nature and need men to come in and order them. But if that's what you believe, how do you come to the conclusion that women are the problem? If you're saying that a woman is chaotic by nature and she needs a man to come in, but somehow the white man has been allowed to master this science that you have not mastered, who does that then fall on? I'm confused as to why it's framed.
It's always going to fall on the woman. To the same point, it is never their fault. When I say never, I mean at some point it's because you're single mother age. Obviously, even if you're 35, 36, 37, 40-year-old age, you can blame your single mother. Like, duh, everybody. And people accept this. Like, you literally had Kevin Samuel convincing 40, 50-year-old men that it was their mother, and that's why they can't do it. Sir, if you ever take your asses to therapy.
You know how many times I've heard a man say, "Man, I was out there wild in the streets, acting crazy until I found my wife. So I had a daughter." It's not women that's chaotic. It's us. We are the ones. We the violent ones. We the chaotic ones. We the ones can't control our temper. We the ones out there fighting, gang fights. We the ones out there the highest rate of domestic violence. I don't understand what people be saying the things that they say, but it's just blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? It's blasphemy. I gotta act like Stephen A. now. But women, and I'm just gonna speak for myself right now. My one of the main reasons I married my wife is because at times when I couldn't control my temper, at times when I couldn't control how I felt, she was there to say the words or do the things she did to soothe me and to put me at ease. And to say the right stuff, and she didn't flare things up. Even when we was arguing and I get mad, she'd still calm the situation down. It was her, not me. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just for me. I can't speak for all the men, but most of the men that I have talked to, they would say the same thing. Like, it's usually a woman to, you know what I'm saying? Like, a woman ain't gonna come in. Most of the dudes go come in and rile things back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, well, it's not the woman. Now, you do have some women that do that, but you always gonna have your one-offs. You know what I'm saying? It is some ratchet women out there that they like to fight, they like to be into all that chaotic stuff in the street, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's the men.
I just think it's interesting. Like, how can you try to see the woman as the problem if you are considering yourself to be in a war with other men? Like, why aren't you addressing these men that have built this system that is causing you all these problems? Like, why are you always going to the symptom instead of the root? Like, if it's white supremacy that is, which I mean, I believe that it is. I absolutely believe that it is, right? But two things can be true. Like, we do live in a white supremacist society that has subjugated Black people. And what I find to be most interesting is that for some reason, many people would rather believe that somehow Black women have been preferred in the system over understanding that we have also been subjugated and subject to the same exact things. Exactly. And as a matter of fact, as a double minority of being a woman and being a Black woman, that gets totally ignored. And it's like this pretend fantasy that we've somehow been, given preference in this system, when that, if you look at every single measure, that is not the case. No, what we have done is we have fought, because at the end of the day, we know that there are problems, know that there are things stacked against us, but what are you going to do? Cry about it? Or are you going to figure out ways to manage it and to do better? And that's what enough conversation is not being had. Because the thing that I also say is that if you feel like Black women have been propped up in the system and that's what's allowed them to have things and taking the Black man out, all this silly stuff, then why aren't you utilizing that to your advantage? And especially according to this person, since the man come in and harness all the chaos of the woman and do all of that, why aren't you doing that? Like, why aren't you taking advantage of something that can make your life better?
Exactly.
Like, I could see if you're saying, or especially in this instance, again, if it is something that is unfair, but a lot of times what I'm seeing is that the unfairness that's being cried about is the fact that we as Black people can't get away with the same things that white people get away with, which is true. But it's like, why are you trying to commit crimes and get away with it? Like, yeah, life is not fair. Like, life is not fair.
It's not.
And things
absolute
are
fairness
a lot more subtle, right? And a lot more nefarious.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways to circumvent it. And are you working on any of those ways? Or are you just pointing your finger and saying it's all the woman's fault because they let the white man come get us, and then they took the government cheese and took us out the home and broke up the families? Now it's just like, I mean, I would just like to know, with all of that being the thought process, what is the answer?
What is exactly why I say they embarrass us every day. Because when you look at the numbers with Black women and white women, if white people are trying to hold us down, Black women and white women income rate they're pretty, competitive. It's not like we're so far below that we can't keep up. They seem to be going in track. We're inclining together. So if racism is holding people down, surely it'll be holding out Black women just like it's holding out, or not just like it, in the same manner for the most part that it's holding out Black men. I think it's interesting because they've had these conversations for years. I think I've heard the same thing in the 60s, where a man was saying, oh, Black women they want to go get jobs and work for the white man, and they don't want to work for us, and they don't want to be okay with what we can provide for them. So it's the victim mentality. That's why I say to be embarrassing this, because like, aren't you are you not embarrassed to come on TV and say,
yeah, it's I agree that these things are real.
Systematic racism is real. I can't say it's
racism
not.
is actually real. But again, the question then becomes, what is the answer? And if the answer is Black women need to stop getting all of these degrees and need to stop being professionals and earning money and stop, overcoming and doing the best that they can to raise our children, and they just need to I don't know what they're asking for, I guess.
I want to read something.
What they're asking for. They're asking for leadership in a conceited, participation award way. Just like we heard earlier, when you internalize, instead of saying, you know what, maybe you're just not fit to be a leader, you internalize and say, you know what, it's because I'm not feminine enough. It's because his balls are full. It's because he's hungry. Instead of just saying, you know what, maybe you're just not fit to be a leader. No, it's got to be me. Oh, it's got to be Black women. Oh no, it can't be. Like, it's crazy.
I wanted to read something, and I'm kind of paraphrasing or whatever. The leadership that they're seeking is waiting on them to admit that they're part of the vicious cycle, so they can choose something different. And you're not going to get anywhere if you don't admit that you're part of the problem. You're not. And the reality of it is, me working inside of a correctional facility, is that the majority of gangs, both juvenile and adults, are young Black men. Between the ages of, I wish I could say 17 and 18, but I've treated a gang member that was as young as 13 and 14, all the way up to the ages of 25 and even older than that. And they're all Black men. And so that's why I opened this up by asking, when are y'all going to have the discussion amongst you all about male leadership that has zero to do with Black women and more to do with you all taking the action steps that you need to take to become leaders in our community? Because you're telling me everything that's keeping you from doing it, but you're not telling me what you're exactly going to do. You telling me,
but then those same people get upset when you hear certain people say you're conquered and subjugated. But you're saying it. Like you're saying it yourself. Like you want to say it in all the other words.
Exactly.
Except for just saying the words. Like basically what you're
Exactly.
saying is that the white man has conquered you through your women. That's what you're saying. So like what you're
so my whole thing is, okay, you're gonna play victim now, but why be a victim of your circumstance? When a prison program that I worked for, we used to, part of the philosophy that we would teach the gentlemen that were incarcerated, because I hate the word inmate, the gentlemen that were incarcerated, we would teach them that you are not a victim of your circumstance. Your mind and your heart can be developed to a point where you are greater than the circumstances and experiences that you've had. Like, go out and be greater. Yeah. You see something wrong with your life? Let's make an action plan. Let's look at some resources. Let's look at some things that you can do to be greater. But what we're not going to do is blame Counselor Mosley for having these keys in this walkie-talkie and pointing at me saying,
but like you said, that is
holding me back. That's not your problem.
That's the only other option that you have is that or fail. Like what is the other option? It's just like if somebody, like I've seen people who have gotten like a flesh-eating bacterial virus that ate off their legs, right? And then went on to become like athletes and like get new legs and do. It's
they
like
out here doing their whole life with their two hands and their other leg, or they two hands and their elbow, or whatever.
Correct. And the question I always ask is like, was that fair? Did that person deserve that? Like,
exactly.
No, but I mean, what do? Do you just lay there in the bed and get bed sores and like just waste away? Or do you do everything in your power to overcome it anyway?
Exactly, like, because they overcoming at these strip clubs, they overcoming at happy hour. They overcome it with visiting these dispensaries and spending a good majority of their income on marijuana.
Y'all hot and horny. She not having it.
Ecstasy.
It just seems
they overcome with these drugs and alcohol. So why can't they overcome?
Because there is a message of victimization. I think somebody was mentioning Dr. Umar recently about how he still puts out this message that Black men are these victims and they can't overcome the white man. They just can't. They just can't. No matter how many schools he built, they just can't overcome the white man. So the marketing is geared for Black men to take the victim role. It's geared for them to be perpetual victims of the white man, of Black women, of the system, of all these things instead of just overcoming it.
The thing is this, it just seems like to me that the Black, when I look at this topic, it just seems like it's painting a picture that the Black man and the white man is jumping on the Black woman. When you look at it, to me, like, oh, if you sit up and saying that the white man is using a Black woman and penetrating the Black woman to hurt you, that now in return, now you want to attack the Black woman. So now she's getting it from both angles, from the white man and from you. So how can she win when you're not even backing her? Or even if you see the problem, you need to find a solution to fix it, not attack her and make things worse. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like now you're helping the white man, the white supremacist, whatever you want to call them, the man, the white man, the white supremacist, the enemy, the op. You're helping the op destroy your Black woman instead of fighting the op to fix the problem.
It's like, and no, but that's interesting that you say that, because it's like they're still again putting the onus on the woman while claiming to be leaders, which is my main issue. Like my thing is, if they did not claim to be these birthright leaders by birth, like and in their nature, and these protectors and providers by nature, then I wouldn't have a problem with the way that these conversations go.
Right.
But a lot of times it's by nature, men are this way. And it's like, again, if you believe that, how can you turn around and then expect a woman to come and rescue you? Or to stop like some kind of assault coming through them,
create space.
Right. And it's like, especially think about the way that they talk about women, that women are here to, that women don't create anything. Women just take and make it better. Women are just these empty vessels that the man has to come in and be on his purpose. And she get, like, they say all of these things about what they believe that a woman is. But then when it comes to that type of thing, all of a sudden the woman is supposed to be the one that's fighting for you. That doesn't make any sense. Like that doesn't make any sense. If she,
so you can turn around and call me masculine
like,
when I do help you.
Like if you've allowed the white man to come in and take your woman, and he's the one who has made her be on his purpose, and whose fault is that? That sounds like that's your fault.
Exactly.
You know how when people drink or and stuff like that, and they get high, get drunk, they start rapping, and they think they just had the best bars, the most awesome bars. That's how I feel right now, because I'm about to say some real shit. I don't know if because I'm drunk, but I feel like this is about to be some good shit right here. This is about to be some good shit. Just listen and pay attention. Let me see if this hit
Go
home.
ahead and drop that high fire.
I'm about to drop some shit. I'm not even about to wrap it up, but I'm about to drop some shit. So, if black men were born leaders and born to be these awesome creatures by nature, it wouldn't be no Malcolm X, no Martin Luther King. It just wouldn't be. We would not even hear about these people, because all black men would have been doing the same thing that they would have been doing, which wouldn't have made Malcolm X and Martin Luther King significant, right? It's the fact that whatever they did in their life that made them leaders. You're not born a leader. You're not born a protector. You're just not born because you're a man. It's just not your birthright. Whatever happened to them that made them these type of people, that's why we glorify them. That's why we talk about them, because they made sacrifices. They stood out above all these other black men, all these million men that was marching with them. It was something that they did, something that they said that made them the leader of them packs, right? So for all these black men that sit up here saying that they the leader and they this and they that by nature, no, you're not. Don't nobody know you. Your own family don't respect you. I say this all the time. How you a leader of your family and you a Christian, your son a Muslim, your wife is an atheist, you not a leader. You know, you can't even have your own family be what you want them to be. So let's stop sitting up here and saying that you are a leader and you do this and that when you can't even lead 4 people. But you think, you know what I'm saying? You think you just this awesome leader and can do all this stuff in the community, and you want to put all the onus on this woman to do all this thing. No, you won't you lead your home? Won't you lead the 4 people in your home first before you think you can do all this awesome stuff and try to blame a woman, right? And I think I just said some dope shit.
And I meant what I said about happy hour and drugs and alcohol. Like, it's so, to me, it's so convenient to me how a lot of these men, they have these conversations, but yet they indulge in all these different things. And it's like, and then they turn around and say, well, I don't have enough resources to be a leader. It's basically what they're saying. But you dropping this much money in the club, you dropping this much money on this, and you doing all these different things, but you crying that nobody's making space for you to be a leader. You using your resources somewhere else.
I mean, we know resources ain't that plentiful in the black community, so I'm not gonna go there. But I will say,
could be though. They could be if people just they could be if
I agree, absolutely.
If we get away from ego, because the other part of this conversation is just like what Darwin was saying about Malcolm and Martin. Stop being the dude that's whining because you ain't Malcolm and Martin. Get behind Malcolm and Martin and push them up so they can have more firepower behind them.
Yeah, like that's
all these folks want to be leaders. All these black men, all of them want to be in charge. Oh, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. I'm in charge. But then, just like Darwin said, you can't you in and out of relationships. You can't lead a household to save your life. Everybody you get in a relationship with, you either end up homeless after you done broke up with her because you ain't got your own house, you ain't got nothing. Like, I'm just, this is the
but
other
what's
part
so
of these
crazy, Miss Jovo, but what's so
crazy.
crazy about it is that even when they say, and they want to go back to, again, like the welfare took the man out the home and all of these other things, and that the man is using black, and again, my whole thing is, if you can't be successful any other type of way other than through a black woman, first of all,
or through
sound like you need to know your role. It sounds like it's your ego that's breaking up the family. Like, if you're saying that the plan for them was to give women these things, right, so that they would choose the things over you, or whatever you're talking about is happening, What are you doing in that situation? Again, so it sounds like what do they say? Like a woman's like, well, I don't need you, or whatever the heck is going on in the relationship. You can't pivot or maintain that relationship if your whole main thing as a leader, right? Or as someone whose utmost purpose is to maintain the sanctity of the community and family and all those things. It sounds like it's your ego then that's saying, okay, I'm not going to be a part of this family if it's not operating the way I think that it should operate, because the white man gave the woman the power, so I'm gonna abandon the family then. Like what? Like,
and I really want us to recognize that leadership is not just in relationships. I expect to see these men leading other men out of gangs, out of drug addiction, out of all of these things. If they claim to be the leaders of the community, they claim to be, recognize that leadership is not just in a romantic sense. It's not just gonna be, oh, my woman won't submit to me. No, it's gonna be, can you lead all these young and old dudes that are convinced that they're supposed to be in a gang out of that idea? And if you can't, like, what leadership skills do you have to show?
They can't make that shame other men and make them do.
Oh my God!
But they are.
How many times have you
heard change a woman
from them? How many times have you heard that from those same people? You can't change a man. You can't change men. Men aren't gonna change.
And so so guess what?
That don't even sound smart. That don't even sound very intelligent.
No. Let them say that, because the DA in Fulton County just said, okay, we can't change y'all. The community don't want to stand. Oh, y'all still want to hire gang leaders? Guess what? We gonna print off rap lyrics. We coming for tax refunds. We coming for their families, just like they came for the families of the people that they harmed and hurt on them streets. We coming for all of it. It's so funny how people don't realize how gang activity affects a community and a family as a whole, and they hit below the belt. And now that the DA in Fulton County is hitting below the belt, now it's a problem.
Yeah.
Now it's not below the belt. It's honestly the rightful or the logical conclusion. Like, who in their right mind thinks that people should be able to go around lighting the block up, spinning the block, dumping bullets out at gas stations at leisure? Who in their right mind thinks this is okay, other than black folks? We make music about it like it's just normal, and it's not. And then when people step in and do the normal thing, it's crazy.
The biggest problem of that all is that when these innocent kids is getting hurt and killed, that no one really says the reason why. They always act like it was a unfortunate accident. No, that's not an accident that someone is trying to kill your boyfriend because he's in a gang, but shot his son. And now the woman is sitting there crying. She and the thing, she don't even blame the baby daddy. She don't even sit there and be like, your choices led to this. Your choices led to our son getting killed, our son getting murdered. They don't even say that. They act like, oh, it was an accidental shooting.
That was just the situation. I don't know if you guys saw it on social media, but it was I think he's from like another country. But he's like a entertainer or something, and he was with a young lady, and she was like, she had a career and she had a whole thing going for her. She was not in that lifestyle at all, and he was an entertainer, but he had people looking for him, and stuff like that. She was out on a date for her birthday, and the people who was looking for him ended up coming, and she got hit in the crossfire, and she passed, and he lived. And he literally put up a post that says something like, oh, condolences to her family. I'm so glad that I'm still here. New, so I can keep making music or something. And it's like, what? Like, this girl literally only got killed because she was with you and the stuff that you were doing.
But they're gonna act like it was not because of the things he was doing. He's gonna act like he don't know what happened. They said
that it was because they was, to Raven's point, it was like they was trying to make it the same way they did the PMB guy situation. It was because she posted their location, like because she put it on social media, so they knew where they were. but again, that's still dumb. Like, why are people looking for you
and we become
coming after you?
And in our community, we so desensitized. I'm tearing up. We so desensitized because we're literally out there killing each other. Mm-hmm. And here comes a new DA in Fulton County who I think she might have been in her appointment maybe like a year or so now, maybe a little bit more than that. And she's literally saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes so that this does not continue to happen. I mean, even amongst me with the people that I know, like here in Georgia, not just Atlanta, Fulton County, just like Eugene got in the comments, Milledgeville, all these different little towns, Sandersville, Statesboro, Macon, Dublin. Like, I remember a time in my little town where you could walk to the store, and I'm literally driving past where I grew up at, and you ain't nobody walking the street no more. Because people afraid of getting shot. And it's just like, I have people who are from larger metropolitan areas telling me, well, you know, that's a norm for us. We used to that. I ain't used to it, and I don't want to get used to it. It is something very unnatural about a group of people who are taking each other out.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, I had screenshotted it because I saw it. And it's another rapper. I don't know none of these people, but it's another rapper. She's a female rapper. Her name is Mellow Rax or something. And she posted something on Twitter, and it said, in an interview, PNB said she said his girl always thought it was a game out here. That's why be careful who your wifey is. We control a lot of stuff, and we can prevent a lot of stuff. I would never let my rapper boyfriend eat at a restaurant with his chains on. And people
goes back to the internalization I was just talking about. Just like with PNB Rock, the information came out that he released their location first. They found out that he posted a video of them pulling up at the restaurant in a Cadillac an hour before she ever made that post. Nobody is blaming anybody. Nobody's blaming any of the shooters. Everybody is, oh man, you know, she should never posted it. It's that internalization. Instead of just, it's so much easier. It's so much easier to say, oh, it's the women's fault. Because always, women are
she was also in the comments fighting for her life. She's like, let's say it wasn't the picture, but as a rapper girlfriend, I'm not letting my man eat in the hood with his chains on. Rappers need girls.
You can't let no man do nothing. You can't let a man. Please, ladies, you cannot keep a grown man.
What she's gonna do? Fight him and snatch his chains off?
But why wouldn't the onus be on the person who is in the type of lifestyle, or who's like what?
Because
why? This is what I'm saying. Why wouldn't the thing be like, oh, if I as a man know that this is dangerous, why would I be in the hood with chains on? Why is it the woman gotta come and make sure you what? How come
it's the women that are agents of chaos.
We fell into the trap when the gangster music first hit the scene of allowing our culture to use this as something that we can fantasize about. All this red and blue and purple and white and all these things, just we love it.
But how does that mean that? But I guess what I'm saying is, how do you jump to instead of the person having enough sense?
The same way that the same outrage we had when that guy deleted himself on Facebook. And the men got in the comments blaming the women that he had relationships with for his mental illness or his mental health or whatever. It's the same thing. It goes back to the same thing.
It's like it's so
lack of
obvious,
accountability in our community.
Exactly.
This lack of accountability, the same lack of accountability that they complain about is the same lack of accountability that they created. Y'all created this.
Yeah.
If it exists amongst black women, y'all said we need to be more accountable.
Actually, depending on women to tell you,
y'all said we need to be more accountable. We need to be more accountable, but you can't talk about leadership without bringing us up. Leadership that you're supposed to be exhibiting.
That's why I said it's a market of victimization. Look how many hidden colors came out. Look how long look how much money Kevin Samuels made telling black men it's really black women's fault. It's not your own fault. It's really see, look at them calling up here being bad. Like it's a market of victimization. They have really villainized black women for expecting black men to get an education, make more money, stop killing each other. Like they have these black women trying to make us, feminine or whatever the new excuse is, if it's because we're raised by single mothers, whatever the new excuse is, it's always a market of victimization. At no point, unless it's going to make them some money, are we going to hear, you know what? We should actually take the reins on this and do the right thing.
No,
unless it's going to make them some money, we're not going to
You're absolutely right, Raven, because someone asked me the other day, like, well, what is the solution? And I said, we need to be educated. And specifically, more black men need to be educated.
Exactly.
Right. And they have this thing where they're like, well, it's not about school. I'm like, I'm not talking about school. I'm talking about being educated and information literate. That is important.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to do anything if you really don't understand the world around you. I said, why do you think? I said, we have forgotten there was a point in time when we understood knowledge was power. We risked our lives just to learn how to read because it was that important. Exactly. But now all of a sudden you think you don't need to know nothing. Now you think you got all of this street knowledge and you just that don't matter. But then want to complain about the system that you don't even fully understand.
I'm gonna say exactly how my auntie Gussie would say it. Shout out to my favorite aunt and all my other favorite aunts. Don't you know that people march so you can go to school to learn and read and write and vote, you dumbass? People marched and died, and you trying to sit up here and clown people for doing it.
But my thing is, I don't care. But I don't care what you educate yourself on. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you can educate yourself on finance. You can educate yourself on the stock market. I don't like something. Understand how something functions so that you can be effective at it. Like that's the key. Like that is the key. Like what else? What else do you want to do? You're not gonna. It's crazy to me. It's like they're sitting around waiting for the very people that they say are subjugating them on purpose to come and rescue them or just to stop if they complain enough about it. Like you know what? You're right. This is not fair. Let's go ahead and stop doing this because it's not right. Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, they can't keep you from information. They can't keep you from being educated. And that is dangerous. And then they were like, well, what happens if you educate? I don't know. A lot of things happen when people are educated that you couldn't even imagine. People come up with all types of stuff when they have information and when they educate. I don't know. Being anti-intellectual is definitely not the answer.
It ain't even that. It's just being in the know with how certain systems and how certain ethics and certain things work within certain systems. It's just being in the know. Just like something as simple as you knowing and understanding what goes on at your child's school. Like you understanding that you know that. Like you know when student council meets.
A lot of them are committing all of these crimes and don't even understand how the law works.
They don't.
Right?
But they can tell you all the varieties of different types of marijuana that's being sold in specific streets, hoods, and counties and countries all over the world. Like it's just like
we got all of this random street knowledge of how it works. Nah, because they can't do that and they can't do that. Like you don't like. What are you talking about? Like,
and this the thing. And in all my years of working with people who have sold dope, people who have been members of gangs on the juvenile and adult level, this whole allegiance to loyalty and how they take care of each other. And it's just like, no, y'all don't. Because if y'all did take care of each other, your families wouldn't be out there suffering while you incarcerated.
I think that's exactly why when Darwin said, if y'all gonna be a leader, just be a leader. But if you're not, you're gonna have to acknowledge that, you know what, the system has taken a toll on me and I can't be the leader that I'm supposed to be. Like,
let me start from something so I can be better than who I am today. And like, it's just crazy.
With the education part, the Trojan horse effective is because the fact that they didn't know what was in that horse. It was gifted, but they didn't know what was in that horse.
They were ignorant,
and that's what we saying about the black men when they speak about certain things and they don't have education about, as far as like the welfare thing. They always talk about that in ignorance, like they don't have the facts right. They don't have they don't know the details of that, but they sit up there and say welfare took black men out the home. So no, the thing is, if you know what's going on systematically to oppress us, then you should know how to fight against it. But since you don't want to take the time to educate yourself to know these details, now you're just sitting here saying ignorant shit. And that's still not gonna be a solution to solve no problems either. So I'm pretty sure if those people knew what was in that Trojan horse, they wouldn't have let that Trojan horse in them gates. So if black men would educate themselves to know what exactly is going on as far as in the politics, as far as their community, in their home, the schooling, their education, if they knew these things and knew what was going on, then they would better be prepared to stop some of the things that's happening in their communities and stuff like that. But since they just sit back and let the women get all the education, and then when something doesn't go right, they can easily just sit back and say, oh, it was the woman's fault. But when shit is going right, they don't sit up there and say, kudos to our black women. Y'all did that. You know what I'm saying? They don't say that. So these black men need to just shut the fuck up.
Hey, Robbie. Oh, goodness. Well, on that one, that was a heck of a mic drop, So it looks like we've been on this stream for 2 hours. We got through some really good stuff. This topic was, this was juicy. We felt some real feels about this one right here.
Yes. And look, and I'm challenging all black men that watch our show or got a problem with our show. Come on and pull up on the link and tell us what you're going to do to be a leader in your community without telling me that I'm the problem.
That would be.
Give us your plan.
You know what? We should actually try to put that together.
We should
and have a show for that. Hopefully doesn't devolve into a bunch of.
No, that's how you bring a buzzer every time. Like when you squirt a cat with some water. Every time they say black women, you bring a buzzer. Shut your ass up.
You're talking about black male leadership. Why are you talking about black women? What we got to do with it?
I think that's fair. I think that could be arranged.
That motherfucking buzzer gonna be going off like a motherfucker.
It's gonna sound like a Lil Wayne track on the radio.
Hey, Miss Creative, how you doing? Hello. Thank you for joining. But okay, so we have one more topic, but we just gonna move that to next week because we didn't get all of this. We spent so much time on these shenanigans. So I'm gonna let us go ahead and go through and give our final thoughts. It could be based on anything that we talked about tonight. If you need a refresher, we talked about draining those, keeping your man sexed up and fed so that he doesn't, wander, have a roaming eye and things like that. And we also talked about romanticizing the past. And then we talked about Black women being a Trojan horse in the Black community. So I'll give you each a chance. Who wants to go first to give your final thoughts about any of those topics? Okay, Super Saiyan. All right, there you go.
Shalom, shalom is the one and only Super Supreme Saiyan. Why, if anybody else says they are in the club, they are a liar. Yes. They need to show their receipts for the $1,800 class. What I will say is tonight we heard some great tips if you want to bag, maybe not a high value man, but a man nonetheless. So if you want a man, any kind of man, he may not even be the best man, but any man, all you gotta do is drain his balls and feed him. Ta-da, you have a man. I will also say, let's not romanticize the past, guys. On a serious tip, let's not romanticize the past. Take a lot of things that are critical. The future as well. Everything that is progressive is not the best move for Negro people. Also, Black women are not the Trojan horse. I mean, get some paper if you're trying to get some paper. Get an education if you're trying to get an education. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. That's all.
Love it. Thank you. All right, who's next?
I'll go next.
All right, let me give you your shine.
Absolutely. It's your girl, Miss Jovo here. And I just want to tell everybody that all of our people in our chat, first of all, thank y'all for chatting and commenting on the show. Pull up with the link next time. We love to have you. Okay. Second thing I want to say is be the change that you want to see. If you think something needs a change in your marriage, be that change you want to see. If you think black men that you're not having enough space or enough enough grace to be the leader in our community, step up, be the change that you want to see. Okay, that's what I want to encourage everybody to do for the next week until I see y'all again on the show. Be what you want to see, and if you're not going to be what you want to see, then stop complaining about what you see. Okay. The third thing I want to mention, those of y'all who follow me on Facebook, because I am an advocate for all the communities that I lived in and are living in, especially for the one that I grew up. Lawrence County Public School System in Dublin, Georgia. All my parents pull up, just like I said with these black men, all the black men in the community, pull up. If you want to see something change about race relations and how opportunities and discipline and all these things are distributed out into the school system, be the change you want to see. Represent your kids, go to school council meetings, go to the PTO, okay? Write your congressman, write your house reps, write your mayors in your local towns, okay? Do that first. Be the change you want to see. Do step one first. And that's all I got to say.
Preach, preach. That's what I'm talking about. All right, babe.
All I'm gonna say is, men, we need to, in order to be leaders, you got to problem solve, and you have to step up to the plate, even when it is the most uncomfortable situations, things that you don't want to talk about, things that you want to do. You have to spark that ignition. You have to be the one to step up and make the change. You know, if you not drained and you got a full nut sack, you go upstairs like I'm about to do, and you drain that nut sack so you won't have to eventually go out and cheat. Because I'm guessing if your nut sack is drained, you won't cheat, and I don't want to cheat on my wife, so I'm about to go drain my nut sack and eat because I'm hangry.
Okay, you got a problem. All right, everybody, let me get you to, if you have not done so already, go ahead and click that like button for the video. Also, share the video with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, because we always have some really good topics popping off over here every week, as you can see. My final thoughts, I'll just say, yeah, don't blame yourself for other people, other people's choices as adults. We do have responsibilities in relationships, but again, it takes two people. And in the great words of Miss Jovo, all behavior is a choice. So I'm going to leave you on that. And good night, everybody. Good night.